Good morning, everybody. I am Naveen Kulkarni. I am the Chief Investment Officer with Access Securities Limited. I'm really delighted to be here, and thank you PMS Bazaar for hosting us. This is the first time that we are participating in this event, and really excited and looking forward to interact with each one of you. So what I'll be doing is that I'll be quickly going through this presentation. This is a very vast space. It's a very exciting space, and this is a very fast growing space, right? Let's think of where we stand today, and let's try to draw some global parallels. So alternates as a space is taking off and it's growing at a very rapid pace. But what's going to happen from here? If I were to draw some parallels from the global markets, let's say where US was in the 1980s. The economy size was roughly in the zone that we are, right? The market capitalization of US equities, mid-80s, was somewhere in the range of around between $4 and $5 trillion, right? And that's when the alternative space started taking off in a very meaningful way. We are somewhere in that zone, and we are going to see a whole new array of products. But the differentiation this year is going to be, since there are so many global learnings, is going to happen much faster in India. And that's what the excitement is going to be all about. Yeah. This is where we are. So we'll be soon reaching a $5 trillion economy. This is just a macro perspective. We all know it. But I'll still try to put some perspective here, right? So we've been growing at a very fast pace. But more important here is, today, everybody believes that these numbers are going to be achievable. This is where we are going to get very soon. I think that confidence and that belief is the most important aspect. And that's when there will be more investments, and that's when the growth is going to be really fast. So that's the most exciting part. I think the confidence today that we are going to be a $5 trillion economy very soon, we're going to be a $10 trillion economy probably in the next 10 years, is somewhere that we are very confident that we are going to get there. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. So this was I was referring to. We are right now around $4.5 trillion. We are the 5th largest market in the world. Very few days back, let's say a couple of months back, we had reached around $5 trillion. We had overtaken Hong Kong, right? But then, of course, we have come down. Hong Kong has gone up a little bit, right? So all those things have happened. But more importantly, right? So this is where we are. This is a very sweet spot, right? Where alternates can kick off, and the whole space is going to be very large in the next few years. Why that's going to happen, right? We look at the demographic profile. Close to 140 million households are going to make a transition of reaching the upper middle income and middle income group. That's a very critical number, right? More importantly, if we see close to 120 million households, right? 120 million households is probably the size of America, right? Are going to transition to upper middle class and affluent categories, right? We're going to have 44% of our households who are going to be upper middle income. This is a very critical number. Of course, how we define upper middle income is range between $8,500 to $40,000 per capita income, right? So that's a very significant number that we are looking at. It's a huge number, right? It is probably 3 times of France, right? So many other countries that we can look at. We are going to add countries in India, right? That's how significant the growth is. So let's look at what's been happening in this landscape, right? The whole investment landscape. We all know that mutual funds are now bread and butter, right? So that's growing at a very fast pace. That's grown already at a very fast pace, no doubt about that. But when I look at the other vehicles, right, the other licenses, other platforms, let's say the PMS platform, that's also growing at a very fast pace, and that's the equity portion of it has grown at 35% CAGR over the last 5 years. Then I look at the AIF, the commitments raised have grown at more than 30%, right? So that's phenomenal growth rate. What does it mean at 35%? We are doubling our assets every 2 years almost. right? That's a phenomenal growth story that we are building in. That's the phenomenal growth story that we're crafting today. Why this is happening, but right? So that's an important factor. So this is one data point, right? So of course, mutual funds are very, very large. They have a cookie cutter model, but PMS and AIF, these kind of assets have started to cater to needs of the investors much, much better. They are able to deliver much better return profile. Look at the top quartile funds, right? The average top quartile funds over the last 5 years for PMS has been close to 30%, whereas the mutual funds has been much, much lower, close to around 700 to 800 bips lower, which is a very, very significant number. The percentage of PMS funds outperforming the mutual funds, right? It's also a very, very large number, right? Last 1 year, 88%, it's significant. 3 years, 51%. 5 years, 52%. 10 years, 78%. Huge difference, huge difference. So, however we might think, this is an industry which is set to grow at a very, very fast clip. Absolutely no doubt about it. What are these alternate investments that we are talking about? Portfolio management services, of course, that's the license that we are talking about. It can host a whole set of assets that we can think as alternates, of course. Alternative investment funds, it includes a wide range of products that we can look at. Venture capital, private equity, angel investments, hedge funds, real estate, it's so many. So these are the broad categories. We all know this, but just to highlight what we are thinking about. What do these provide, right? How do these things actually assets help investors? One is, of course, they tend to have a lower correlation with other assets, right? They can bring forward an area which essentially helps in diversifying the portfolio much, much better. Second is, of course, most critical component is, what do I need by looking at alternates? I'm looking at a unique risk profile that it's bringing to me, right? That's how I'm able to move on to the efficient frontier much, much better, right? Then, of course, alpha generation, we already talked about. There's an enhanced alpha generation which is already happening. Second aspect is, of course, which is very, very critical, especially when it comes to alternate investments, the significant amount of liquidity premium which alternate assets enjoy, right? The liquidity premium is what generates the additional alpha, especially for long-term investors. The liquidity premium becomes a very, very critical component which can create a lot of wealth. Then, of course, there are improved risk metrics. Typically know that higher Sharpe ratios, a long short fund will have a very, very high Sharpe ratio. Significant amount of tail risk management is what we are able to do. And of course, strategic asset allocation, right, which is able to dynamically move between different classes of assets. That's the most critical aspect which a alternate asset profile brings to the investor. Of course, what are the drivers behind? We know many of these things. Of course, there is increasing wealth opportunities. There's a great amount of optimism which is there in India. Taxation simplifications which come from AIFs. Of course, there is gift city. Then there is, of course, advantage for the ultra high net worth. These are all key drivers, right, which are driving the alternate assets at a very, very fast pace. So what is the future now, right? We know that the mutual funds and the other traditional asset classes are going to be there. They are going to grow and they are going to, but the future, of course, belongs to the PMS and the AIF. And this is what is there. They are what are going to dominate the investment landscape. So first look at, let's say, what does PMS offer, right? Why that will be very, very critical. One of the key aspects of PMS as a platform, as a license, and as a product, it can offer customized solutions. Whether you are a family office, you are a high net worth individual, wherever you are, right? The ability to customize a product on a PMS platform is immense. Access Securities offers a lot of customized solutions, right? So what we are able to see in our own experience is that eventually investors need a certain profile, certain risk profile, certain return profile, which suits their needs. The ability to customize on this platform is probably the highest. And it will continue to remain very, very critical. The number of affluent families in India is going to grow. The number of family offices in India is going to grow at a very, very fast clip, right? All these kind of investors are going to need more and more customized solutions. So definitely we are going to see a higher amount of customization, which means that the PMS license and the platform will continue to gain more and more ascendance. There's of course flexible pricing options, there's dynamic asset allocation themes, right? That's one of the aspects which we are able to cater to on a PMS platform, and that's what differentiates it in the most meaningful manner. Then of course, the other aspects which are coming also, right, which primarily form in the alternate space, which is unlisted and private equity space, right? If you look at what's happening, like in Asia Pac region, in 2018, private equity allocation was just around 15% to India. Now it's jumped to 20%, right? That's a huge number. It's growing at a very, very fast clip. Still, this industry is very, very small in India, the whole private equity space, just around $30 billion. Compared to global size, we are like minuscule, right? Compared to the size of economy that we are and what we are going to become, right? This is a very, very small space, and we are seeing a lot of excitement here. The liquidity premium or the illiquidity premium that you might gain is very, very significant here, right? So something that we will be able to enjoy, and this is what is going to be a very, very critical driver. Then, of course, the whole gamut of, I would say, the hedge fund industry, which is still slowly starting to take off, is the absolute return strategy. Cat 3 AIFs have been the fastest growing category in the AIF segment, surely, but there are a lot of absolute return products which are still very, very small. For example, long short. There are, of course, aspects with regards to taxation and others, return expectations, so on and so forth. But globally, if we see long short products constitute almost 40% of the hedge fund assets, but India is still very, very small. It's what is said to grow, right? Surely. So, apart from this, what's also going to happen is that we're going to see a lot of pod-based investing which is going to happen. This is going to be the future. Globally, what's happening is multi-strategy hedge funds are gaining ascendance. They are the fastest growing category. Surely, no doubt about that, and they will continue to grow. What is multi-strategy hedge funds, right? What do they do? They typically will invest, they will create teams which are in the size, in terms of in pods, which will invest in their own speciality, in their own skill set. And the whole asset or the return is generated using all these pods. So there can be a pod for an option, there can be a pod for real estate, and the combination of all these is what will essentially reduce the overall risk profile, provide a very, very high Sharpe ratio, and create the best possible risk-adjusted return. So this is something which is growing globally, and this is what I think is going to also start going to happen in India. It's very, very interesting. Also, one of the key components is going to be not just time in the market, but timing when you raise the money also. That's also going to be a very, very interesting thing. We are going to see more and more closed-ended schemes, right? Smaller schemes with long-term sustainability and capability, and these are what are going to be the future, right? So it's the right time of entry in the market, also investing in the right strategy at that point in time, and of having multiple aspects which will essentially generate better risk-adjusted return. So that's the key word here, right? We're looking at better risk-adjusted return in the long term, and that's going to be the key driver. So that is where alternates come into play and offer the best possible profile, right? They offer the best possible risk-adjusted return, which is experienced over a long term, and which is essentially will provide investors an avenue to not just improve their return profile, but also be able to grow their wealth over the long term in a much, much more meaningful manner. So this is going to be, these are the products which we are going to see in the next few years coming up. So how to choose? Of course, we know many of these things. Mutual funds, we already know. AIF, of course, typical size 1 crore and above. What do they offer? They offer a wide range of investments. But most importantly, AIFs will offer better risk-adjusted returns. Second, option for exotic products, right? Which is essentially real estate, which is private equity, long short, so on and so forth. Pod-based investment. These are vehicles which an AIF can offer, right? But of course, there is limited customization, right? Liquidity, of course, can vary. On the other hand, a PMS offers great degree of customization, right? And more importantly, the liquidity aspect is pretty good, because eventually the stocks are bought or whatever assets are bought in your own demat. Anyone wants to sell, it's much, much easier to liquidate the portfolio, right? So, and more importantly, you can tailor according to risk appetite, which is what a PMS brings to the table. So, looking at what requirements you have, you should be choosing one of these platforms. So briefly on what do we bring to table at Axis Securities? We have 5 broad strategies, right? Our pure contra is our flagship strategy. We managed close to 2,500 crores under the pure contra strategy. Then we have Axis Pure Growth, which is, these are the 2 strategies we launched back in 2020. Then we run a very, very large customized mandate, right? Then we have a manufacturing team called Kaizen, and we have our own content AI-based product, which is called the 𝐶 AI, right? All these strategies have their own orientations. Like contra is focused on value investing, it's focused on volatility forecasting, and more importantly, it's focused on special situations. Growth, of course, is a classic growth and quality based theme, right? The focus is essentially sustainable growth over a longer time frame. Market cap orientation is, of course, wide range. So all our strategies tend to focus on multi-cap orientation. Customized, of course, is typically where we look at 10 crore plus kind of size, right? Where family offices, suitable for family offices and others who want to look at something which they want and where their risk profile can be tailored in a certain manner, right? That's a critical component here, right? Then, of course, Kaizen we launched in 2023, focused on manufacturing as a theme, but more importantly, we want to take concentrated bets, right? That's a core aspect of our Kaizen theme. It's very, very focused on concentrated bets, not looking at more than 15 stocks in the portfolio. That's the key idea here. Then, of course, 𝐶 AI is our own IP that we have built over the last 4 years at Axis Securities. We launched this strategy in 2023. The idea was essentially adaptive investing using multi-factor models where the screening happens through the algorithm, and of course it's a ranking model, and the rank, once the stocks are ranked, the allocation happens again based on an algorithm, right? So completely the whole IP has been written at Axis Securities. We own the IP. We built this over a period of last 4 years. We have thoroughly tested this product for the last 3 years when we brought this product on the PMS platform, right? So a huge amount of research and development which has gone in building these products over the last 5 years. Yeah. So this is our journey, just to highlight on where we stand today and how we have come to this. So Axis Securities has been in the PMS business for a fairly long period, but the first product essentially we launched was a product called Vision 2020, which was in 2009. Then in 2020, where we saw a lot of opportunities, we launched our strategies, pure growth and pure contra, right? In 2023, of course, we launched Kaizen, and then sorry, I think there's a mistake here. Yeah, we launched 𝐶 AI in October. We reached 1,000 crores in July 2023 and currently managing 4,500 crores. It says 400 crores, but it's 4,500 crores. So that's a typo that we need to work it out. So that's where we are. We are a PMS platform. We are looking at other avenues to look at to raise money. But our PMS platform, we manage around 4,500 crores. Our flagship strategy is pure contra, and the other large strategy is pure growth. Kaizen is a strategy that we launched last year, but has been extremely successful. Yeah, a couple of slides on performance. Of course, performance of contra, growth, Kaizen, and 𝐶 AI has been pretty strong, beating the benchmark by a very, very large margin on a very, very consistent basis. The risk-adjusted returns have been pretty strong across these strategies. Yeah, just an introduction about who we are, what the team is. I'm Naveen Kulkarni. I have been in this industry or in the equities industry for almost 20 years. I started my career with Reliance Industries. I've worked with various organizations like Phillip Capital, Reliance Securities, and Religare Securities before joining Axis as the CIO. We have Nishit Master also, who is a portfolio manager with us. He's been with us for almost 4 years now. Prior to Axis, he worked with MK. Prior to that, he has worked on the buy side with ING. mutual fund, and also he has worked with Kotak Bank and very, very long experience. Then we have 𝐵𝐚𝐽 Gaur, who is a portfolio manager again. He has worked with Franklin Templeton, Nomura, started his career with Axis Bank as a credit analyst, right? So again, a very, very strong team. And then we have Ranju Rajan, who is our head of business managed accounts. 17 years plus experience, has worked with ICICI Securities and of course Axis, right? So whole host of people running this business, very, very strong team, long history, good pedigree, so and very, very innovative strategies that we bring to the table, and we hope to bring more strategies and very, very interesting products to cater to investors, which can deliver very, very superior risk-adjusted return over the long term. So that's it from me. Thank you.